Welcome back to the show, everybody. I've got amazing news for you today. I mean, hell, one thing, as a bit of a celebration, it seems, of their deal, almost certainly going forward, a bunch of dead game servers have actually went up, and at least the rumors are saying that it's actually shifting consoles and that servers are populated again with a bunch of classic games that many of us enjoyed when we were younger. We've got Ubisoft canceling some smaller titles, which is kind of sad to see for one of them, I can certainly say. We have a very successful game launch with Remnant 2, and honestly a bunch more, even including a game that only, after less than 12 months, is unfortunately dead. So then, I've got a really big announcement on Sunday, and I've got one right now, because thanks to all of your support on The Pale Beyond, our first video game, we've now been able to put together a lot of cool things. Here's the first one, right? We've got an art book. It is like a, you know, full, big, proper, like, hardback, super, awesome art book. So the art team have been able to put this together, but that's actually not everything, because also here is the vinyl. Man, this is so awesome. It is all like properly remastered by like a vinyl specialist to sound perfect for the medium. I absolutely adore this thing. It's big, it's rich, and spoiler alert, so like avert your eyes for like, 10 seconds, but if you have played through stuff in Pale, I mean, come on, look how much of a visual feast this thing is. So we've got the vinyl, and if you buy the vinyl, you'll get immediately a DRM-free download of the deluxe soundtrack, which is 51 tracks long, and it's also in MP3 and WAV if you want the more high-quality files. And also, we've got the collector's edition, which is full of lovely little goodies. I especially love the stand for the Temperance. Mine just sits happily on my desk shelf. I've been jotting down things on my Captain's Log notebook as well. So store.bellular.games is the place to go for all of this. And what I'm doing is pre-orders for 2 weeks, right? And then once I've got the numbers, I'll order the final production runs of everything, and they'll be shipped straight from our fulfillment center to you guys. And if you buy the art book or the collector's edition, we've got a really nice wallpaper pack that the art team have put together. I mean, here's mine while using my phone. I love this thing. So, big picture, what this is all for then. Look, my ambition is to be able to fund our next game without having to take on a heap of publisher money. So all of your support for this goes straight into that aim, straight into the next project, and really just, getting that next project self-published, increasing the, increasing staff wages, that kind of thing. I can't reveal much about our next project, but it is underway. It is in the Paleverse, but it's very much a stand-alone game, and we're all feeling extremely excited and confident about it. Finally then, that's not all for the announcements. Check out Steam on Sunday, because I've got more there. Till then though, store.bellular.games, and you can pick up all of these. Really, I mean, if I had 3 hands, I could also, hang on. Way! There, I made it. There, now it's in the camera. Woo! This is insane. All right, back to the news. Thanks for tuning in. So with that, let's get into our first story then. Microsoft resurrecting some game servers. And the idea that games have a long tail. I mean, hey, did you see the Team Fortress 2 news? I mean, number one, people were laughing because TF2, at one point anyway, had more people streaming it than Overwatch 2 did. But TF2, of course, with its summer update containing a lot of community-made content, it was able to soar right back up to like new peak levels. So successful. And now what we've seen is Microsoft roll out a series of network fixes for Xbox Live, and in particular, re-establishing servers for every Xbox 360 era Call of Duty. Players apparently responded to this hard and fast because, Black Ops 1, 123,000 players. Black Ops 2, 11,500 players. Modern Warfare 3, 79,600 players, which is kind of insane. I did see one person suggesting that like Blops 1 could have had some like bugged numbers, but broadly speaking, those numbers have actually ticked up quite a bit, and people are actually able to find lobbies in these games. And that is a really major thing, because a lot of these games are absolutely beloved. I mean, thinking about, say, like Modern Warfare 3 has a lot of fans. Modern Warfare 2 has a massive number of fans. Even looking, there's Jack Frags on High Rise, and Rust making a YouTube video about it. Is that not kind of crazy to have happen right now, especially in an era when a lot of people think, these games have all got kind of bloated and full of features. Sometimes it's nice to go back to basics. So yeah, of course, this is not just a thing you do in your Xbox 360 though, because Xbox backward compatibility allows you to play every 360 game through your Series X. That means that on your Series X, you can just fire up Modern Warfare 2 and play that motherfucker. And of course, because it's Modern Warfare 2, it runs at 60 FPS. Of course, this is not something we're able to do in the PS5, which does mean that one of the things that I suppose technically was a real strength of the Series X, it truly is, I don't know, coming home to roost. It's actually delivering the results here. So yes, Call of Duty has actually been outselling everything on the Xbox platform on multiple days. So this is an image from the 26th, right, of June, on the top paid games on Microsoft Store. And what do we see? Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare, Blops 2, Modern Warfare 2, Blops 1, Modern Warfare 3, NBA. Then we have the Modern Warfare 2. That's absolutely crazy. And it's really cool. These are straight up games, harkening back to the old era where there was no bullshit, there was no crazy operator skins, there's no DMZ mode to sneak some pay to win monetization in. Literally just the good old days. To the point where we've got 9 legacy COD titles making up the top 20 games being sold on Xbox. Now this is helped by them being on sale, but I mean, hey, this is decade-old games competing with and defeating some of the biggest games of this year on the store right now. Other publishers would absolutely kill for the sales volume that Activision are getting from these. And it's also being fed by yet more leaks and teases that we'll be getting a Modern Warfare 3 this year, which does mean that the very engaged people, I mean, obviously they're thinking about the original Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. Quite an insane situation, really. Now, obviously, with those servers back up, then things do fall on Activision to then do something about some of the issues, because hacking. There's hacking and bullshit going on these games. The hackers are still rampant, and this is just fully a situation where, yeah, your lobby's going to be screwed. But hey, pretty damn impressive, I think we can all agree. Next then, Ubisoft doubling down on what they know makes money and killing, I think a pretty nice game, certainly one that looked really good. Okay, so remember at the start of 2023, Ubisoft basically announced to their investors that they were rapidly just going to double down on their big brands and their big IPs in order to ensure their success. Well, as scooped by VGC, Ubisoft sources are saying, right, that the in-development sequel to Immortals Fenyx Rising has been cancelled. And the reason given by the sources was very explicit. Here it is. Company leadership ultimately decided to cancel it earlier this month due to perceived challenges around establishing the IP. And Ubi then effectively did confirm this. They said, as a part of our global strategy, we are redirecting and reallocating some creative teams and resources within the Quebec studio to other unannounced projects, basically saying that these will be an accelerator for development of these key projects that are focused on their biggest brands, which basically does mean Ubisoft right now, they don't exactly want to be doing more new, and that's why by February of this year, they'd actually cancelled 7 in-production titles. Right, remember that? Back in February? After cancelling 7 projects, Ubisoft still has a unannounced large premium game ahead for the year, which I think we imagined then it was the Star Wars game that they announced. Pretty crazy, right? Now, they allegedly, and this takes the piss, but it's what is being alleged, have 11 separate Assassin's Creed games in development across various genres and platforms. I imagine there you'll be having a few mainline games. Of course, you've got like you've got Red. Don't know why I was about to say Mass Effect. You've got the one set in Japan. We definitely know about that. Obviously, Mirage is coming out later this year. There's probably going to be stuff tied into the whole Assassin's Creed Infinity. Then we got to think about like other devices. Do they have more sort of like cross-platform ambitions? I mean, I don't really know about phone stuff, but anyhow, fundamentally then, there's a big difference between developing a franchise and letting something new grow. Ubisoft obviously should know that. The reason why they have an Assassin's Creed is that kind of grew out of a sequel to Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, and they were able to give that enough time in the oven to actually, kind of appear. And I suppose the thing that can then be so sort of worrying to some of us in the industry is like, who's going to make the next thing? Because you look at Warzone, and that is just applying IP to something other people have been doing. But fundamentally, what new shiny things have Activision been bringing us? At least Blizzard's got unannounced survival game and some other projects in the works. But, Activision, not exactly a hotbed of innovation. Ubisoft, they used to be pretty good at establishing new IPs. Now that's just kind of drying out. And when you look at Bobby's strategy of just going really deep into your biggest hits and fully maximizing them, I think anybody can look at the success that Kotick got there and understand why it might be worth continuing along those lines. But I just still think what about the next Assassin's Creed? Where's that going to come from? And I suppose the answer is, think about Apex Legends. That came out because while working on Titanfall 3, they hacked together a Battle Royale playtest thing, and they decided, this is way more fun, we're going to do that. And I think it was only months later would EA even find out about any of that. Kind of crazy. Anyway, that's basically the story. They're going all in on Assassin's Creed. Hey, that's kind of cool. I love historical fiction, but can't help but feel just a bit sad. Next then. Okay, this sounds insane, everybody, so absolutely buckle up. The ESRB has actually petitioned the Federal Trade Commission to allow them to use a new technology. And as spotted by GameIndustry.biz, the plan is to use facial recognition as a new tool to verify the age of people playing video games. I thought this was the sort of thing that, happened in China, not necessarily here, because in China, this isn't a weird thing, it's literally happening. Tencent, NetEase, they've all implemented this facial recognition stuff. But I don't think that's the sort of thing that we want to be, having over here. It just seems against everything that I'm cool with. I don't like it. But the aim here is to check with a service called Yoti to confirm whether the individual playing the game is of the right age, which will basically connect to an email address given by the user. It'll get the recipient of that email to take a picture of themselves, and then a neural network behind the app will assess whether you're over 25 or not. Either the original player or a parent can respond and confirm their age. If it does, the user can play the game. If it thinks they're under 18, they can't, and if they fall in the middle, it'll ask for another source of verification, which I suppose means a picture of your passport or driver's license. Now, Yoti are claiming that they don't store the images after the initial verification, that none of the images are actually used for their data training purposes, so basically they're saying that from a data, a privacy perspective, it's fine. Basically, it does the scan, it's are you 25? Yes, no, whatever, and then it immediately deletes everything. And it's not phoning home with the data. So this sure is something, and actually it might not exactly be everything that you think about. One hint, copper. So let's get into it. Now, in an age where anybody can just order a physical, copy of a game online or just play it digitally, a lot of the requirements that are usually placed on a platform holder to, try to maintain their platform, free of inappropriate users, right? That kind of thing is now kind of important, because it's not like people are going into a regular shop where the person behind the shop, or, behind the till says, you're not 18. I'll be fined and lose my job if I sell this game to you. Sorry, I can't. It's against my incentives. That was the protection that used to exist. Now that is pretty much gone. But seemingly, as is confirmed to PC Gamer, this is about something different. This is about data gathering and the way in which companies can't do that for kids under 13. Basically, there's a legislation in question called the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, called COPPA, more colloquially. And basically, this is something that companies are required to adhere to. This is something that this year Microsoft was actually fined $20 million for in terms of failures to get parental permission on Xbox accounts for under 13-year-olds. So from the perspective of these companies, getting this right is actually a pretty big deal, because it gives them a layer of protection. I was going to make a joke about a layer of protection. I think you can imagine what it's like. They're just putting a layer of protection over their network, I suppose. Now, as for how many developers are going to want to integrate this, how effective it could be, even if the FTC approve it, we'll have to wait and see. Ultimately, though, it is not a precedent that I am comfortable, with. Now, the idea that maybe for banking services, right, or, some of that more important, legit shit, yeah, I'm not surprised that I have to, do a little selfie in my phone or something so that they can, verify I am who I am, right? I can understand that. It's, financial regulation's probably a good thing. This context? No. No, because even if it is done well, what happens when everything is just scanning your face? what happens in 10 years? I do not want to accelerate us down that path. So I think this is something that people are rightly a bit spooked by. Next then, a few other things. Number one, Dolphin have given up on emulation on Steam. Of course, Dolphin, amazing emulator for many of your emulating needs, whatever they may be. So Valve's legal team basically threw a spanner in the works when they asked Nintendo about how acceptable it would be to put the Dolphin emulator on Steam, because of course, this is the Dolphin emulator all on Steam solely and explicitly for the purpose of playing, I don't know, legally ROM-dumped games or something, but even that probably is going to fall to some technicality. But the end result here is actually the Dolphins team, they do not think it is worth trying to fight both companies to work out whether they should be there. And because of that, they've abandoned their efforts to be on Steam. But they are reaffirming their position on the legality of the tool and how they don't think there's any way they can be challenged on that. I think there are actually, for there's like decent protections. I think they actually do have decent legal grounding to stand on there, which is certainly a good thing. But the good news here is that not all development of the Steam client will be wasted, because future updates can repurpose some of the good things to provide a better experience for all Dolphin users. So I think that's pretty sick. Next then, a free-to-play live service is shut down. How surprising. In this case, it is from Bandai Namco. It's called Gundam Evolution, and it is shutting down less than a year after launching. Servers are being pulled November 29th. And they basically just said, unfortunately, we've determined it's no longer possible for us to provide a service that satisfies our players. Content updates will continue until the end of service, with new seasons adding maps and more units to the game. In-game microtransactions have been pulled from sale. I guess it's kind of cool that they're, I mean, sure, they've already made this content, but still, it is work to actually push the content live, right? So it's good they're still doing that. But yeah, this is a game that actually launched quite strongly, right? It was positive. People liked it. People thought at the time that it could even begin to approach some of the juggernauts. But unfortunately, guys, it's the thing that happens with every single game. The player numbers just do not stabilize at a high enough number. And I guess that's the thing with these games. Like, you're either you charge money and you're a flash in the pan for a small number of people, or you're free to play, you get big numbers initially, and then everybody just wanders away, and you're left with a game that is designed around being a free-to-play live service, which of course has got a lot of cons as well, and now it doesn't even make sense for the people who are still there. It's like, what the hell do you do? We're getting actually to a stage where cracking into one of these big genres is just too damn hard. And I think it just means, like, this era of just perhaps deciding we're going to do a new shooter, we're going to do a new this, a new that live service thing. I kind of think that might end, because the graveyard's full of bodies, guys. It's full. Not okay. Let's move on to another story then. This time it's good news, everybody. It's Remnant 2. One of the games we highlighted on our top games for July list has came out, and thankfully it's really good. By the way, that video, I think we got like 14,000 views. It's not the sort of content we normally do, but one of the things that I'm trying to do is, look, our performance is good enough baseline that I can take a few L's on greenlighting videos that are just recommending you indie games, because I know there's like a portion of you guys who really appreciate that. It's not just for the news and the drama, but also we want to like reward the good games. So we will be continuing that series and, doing more things like it to sort of surface games. You might have noticed we're weaving a lot more like game releases and sort of positive stories into our roundup episodes these days for that reason. Anyway, Remnant 2, it is a solo and co-op third-person roguelite looter shooter that very much manages to be more than the sum of its parts. Kind of doing what you'd want from a sequel, just successfully building upon the core game. IGN's Travis giving it a 9 out of 10, a triumphant sequel that doesn't just reimagine the Souls-like genre as a co-op loot shooter, but absolutely nails the concept in nearly every way. You go over to Steam, we're seeing like 84%, which certainly is a good thing. And then, interestingly, Digital Foundry 2 were very impressed by their graphical implementation of some new tech, because apparently this is like the second game to come out that uses nanite. Now, it does not use the new global illumination stuff that's on Unreal Engine 5, but it is using nanite, and certainly like the geometry detail, the lack of level of detail the lack of that, it's all very, very impressive. Basically what nanite is doing is it's kind of computing like what data, what things can you actually discern in this image, and basically it only renders that, but it ends up creating a very, very smooth, impressive, and performant effect that really does help the games to shine. So really, cool there from the tech perspective, as we're seeing some of the tools developers will have when they're working in this photoreal space, and also an example of what seems to be a really terrific game. There's just too many good games out right now. It's insane. And for our final story, a fun little example of actually the game that won an extremely highly coveted award that I cannot pronounce in a way that does it justice, has actually went to a board game that itself is an adaptation of a video game. Dolphin, the board game. Basically, it's based on a hit indie tile placement game where you are building a pastoral landscape, and the board game is basically a co-op version of that's otherwise pretty much a one-to-one creation. It's really, really neat. But anyway, I just thought that was cool. And by the way, have you ever wanted to play Call of Duty, the board game? I don't know, man. I mean, people say 1v1 me in Rust, and while you can now do that again, as I talked about at the top of the show, maybe you could take it IRL. 1v1 IRL Call of Duty board game. How does the Call of Duty board game play? I have absolutely no idea. But anyway, that is it for today's episode. I hope you found today's to be fun. I certainly did. Lots of cool stories, and certainly I'm getting some childhood nostalgia pangs as I'm seeing people run around like, Terminal and High Rise and all of that in Modern Warfare 2. If you want to support the show, the best way to do that is to check out our new drop of merchandise for the Pale Beyond's launch. Not launch, actually, because it launched in February, but we have a major patch coming out along with the Daily Deal, and the Daily Deal is on the 30th, by the way. But yeah, our Collector's Edition, our art book, and the 4-side vinyl. The vinyl release is so sick. And if you buy the vinyl, you'll immediately get a download link for the Digital Deluxe soundtrack. That's like 51 tracks, which is pretty damn sweet. And with the orders coming in, we'll be able to make the big order with the production people, the vinyls, and then when they arrive, get them all shipped out. Pretty damn fun. Anyway, that's all down below. Other than that, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. And with that story covered, that is it for today's episode. Of course, there was an episode yesterday, so definitely go and check that out if you have not. And there will be one tomorrow, so be sure to sub for that. With that said, have a brilliant day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.